Hello again, I'm back, and I've decided I'm changing this camera. Well, while it's a good picture and all, the battery life in it sucks ass. I mean, it's a push, you'll get about an hour on video, and that's just useless for the things I do with it. It's a Sony WX220. I mean, you know, that's the only thing that lets it down, the battery life. Everything else on it's brilliant. It's a really good sharp picture, but yeah, I'm going to have to change it. I want one with a front-facing screen anyway, so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, rant over on that. This is possibly going to be a 3-part video because I've had a quick look inside there just after a second inspection, and as I suspected, the whole lot's got to come apart. Anything that's screwed in there has got to be taken out, anything that's screwed to the chassis, so it's going to be quite a long video. And these are the parts that have turned up already, and I've got some more coming today, so these are the Nichicon gold caps. These are proper audio grade. I'm not putting no cheap crap in there, making sure they're good quality capacitors. It's not worth doing otherwise. These are really good. Highly regarded in the audio community, those. Really good quality. Right. I've got a possibility this is going to be a 3-part video because it's just monstrous amount of parts I've got to change in there. Up to now I've added it up to about 35 capacitors and about 8 resistors have got to be changed. The 2 main filter capacitors, the ones, you know, the 2 big filters that power the unit, I don't really want to touch them. I don't want to deteriorate the sound because it sounds absolutely amazing, you know, when they're the old school caps, and I don't really want to touch them. But everything else on these function boards is going to have to be changed because I've got a dodgy power rail somewhere, 19 volt power rail, and I've traced it back to this. I've been speaking to a friend of mine on YouTube called 12 Volt Vids. Check him out if you're into audio hi-fi repair. You know, he's an amazing man for this sort of thing. Televisions and hi-fi, you know. And he tipped me off about this. Well, I suspected it in the first place. He confirmed it. That it was this area that was to fault. I don't really bother with video editing software now. I just use Wondershare Video Converter. You can just drop the individual videos that you made onto there and it just makes them as one video. So rather than messing about with video editors and all poncy titles and all that, I just want to get the job done now, you know. Anyway, that's a look inside. As you can see, I'm in for a real treat, aren't I? Look at that lot. That has got to come out. The main heatsink assembly's got to come out. Tone board's got to come out. The power amp's got to come out. And some idiot has decided to solder these tapping wires here, so I've got to desolder them and take them out. Normally I just push them up with a screwdriver and they come off the pins, but somebody's bloody soldered them. I don't know. Like I say, these are the 2 main filter capacitors down there. I don't really want to change those because they'll compromise the sound, I think, if I put anything in that isn't up to the job, and they're very expensive. These are 8,200 microfarad at 63 volts, and you're talking about 25 quid a piece for them for decent ones. So I might, you know, I'll put all these in first and see how I go. If it sounds okay, I'm leaving them, I'm not touching those. But all the rest of these little capacitors, these filters and these fusible resistors are going to have to go here. This is the board I've got to work on. There, all around this area. That's the board that's got to come out, and this is hardwired. The power amp IC is hardwired onto that heatsink there. So I've got to take the 2 sides off with the amp and stand it on its side and pull all the guts out of it. Really sit down and study the schematic before you start delving into the amp. You know, get yourself familiarised with what's going on, because otherwise you get into trouble. You can get into a world of pain with these old Sony amps. There's a hell of a lot going on in there. So that's what I highly recommend you do. Just sit down for a good 45 minutes or an hour and just sit there and just look through the schematic. And just pen in where you think the fault is. Right, first job I'm doing is taking all the knobs off and taking the front panel off because I don't want to get that scratched. So I put all, what I'm going to do is all the parts that I take off, I'm going to put all the screws, tape them down to the part that I took off, then I know where everything goes back then. But that's my first job, take that front panel off, because as I'm working on it, as I say, I don't want to get it scratched because it's in really good condition for a 37-year-old amp. So okay, I'll get onto that now, and that's my first job. Just as I pull the screwdriver out, I had a knock on the door from the postman, and the rest of my parts have turned up. So I'm good to go to getting this job done now. There's my resistors, and there's the rest of my capacitors. All this lot altogether comes to about 17 quid, which is pretty good, considering they're all high grade caps. And these are the resistors that I'm going to be replacing the fusible ones that have gone in there. These are 180 ohms off watt. There's two of them buggers gone in there, so they're going to be changed when I get the amp apart. Well, I have took the knobs off ready. I'll get cracking now and get this front panel taken off. And when you buy any caps from this shop, they give you some free solder as well, which is great. Some resin core solder. There's actually enough solder there to do the job with, which is fantastic. It saves me from opening my new reel of solder. But these were built in the days where they didn't use lead-free solder, and you know, you didn't have the problem of cracked solder joints as much as you do today. Because the solder they use today in modern equipment, this lead-free stuff, is absolute rubbish. It doesn't even shine when it's set, it just looks dull, and you've got to be very careful with it. Unless you use a good flux, you're not going to get a good connection. But all my parts are here. I'll give you the name of this place. Very reasonably priced as well. I mean, like I say, I think maximum I'm going to be spending on this amp's 20 quid to get it all up and running properly. So that's fantastic. You can see I've got quite a selection there of things I've got to get done. There's a good 30 odd caps there. Okay. Just switched the aircon on. It's about 90 bloody degrees down here, southwest of England at the moment. So that's had to go on. Absolutely melting here. Anyway, there's the front panel off. And we can get cracking now. Take all these nuts and washers out. Take these button caps off. Like I said, this is what I'm going to do as I'm going along to make sure everything, I don't lose any of the screws. Just going to tape them down to the parts that I've took out. This back panel comes off as well. It's an inspection panel. 4 screws there, both, no, 6 screws, sorry. Should take that off as well in a minute. Well, there's my progress so far. Everything's disconnected from everything. Taking the side panels off did the most. Everything's loose now, so I can sort of get to where I need to solder. Take these cable ties off. I'll take a couple of stills and all for my own reference of where this wiring goes, in case one of them snaps or something. But to take apart, it was easier than I thought. Everything's very modular in here. Everything is very modular. These just held on with 2 clips and they just push off. I won't do it on camera because I don't want to damage anything, but I won't have to desolder that power amp IC then, so that's good. Just a couple of screws. These are the parts that I'm going to change in a minute. Those 2 resistors, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those 7 capacitors. I'll start with them. I'll put it in a safe position and power it on, and I'll just check that the problem's gone, because I'm suspecting them there anyway. But like I said, it is going to have a full recap, but to get me going, that's where I need change. That looks a bit crusty as well, that resistor there. It looks like a 2-watter. What's that? Blue, brown, gold? Oh, I can't remember the code. It's a 2-watter though. Look on the back side there. That looks a bit crusty around that transistor. I think that's been replaced. Somebody's done a very bad solder job of it. Yes, it has been replaced. One's green and one's black. And I bet they're two different types as well. That's the original, that's the replacement, isn't it? Oh no, that'll be the original, the green one, and that's the replacement, the black one. I'll have to look into that further after I've done this. Well, it's pretty modular in design. Once you've got the side panels off, you know, it just all comes apart. And you go, see? Pretty decent. Okay, I better get these done then. See you in a minute. That's one of them changed. Now for resistor number 2. You can see that. Is that one done? I've got no short pliers so we can cut the leads off. We're gonna have to get some better tools. Anyway, he's on. Let's take the camera off. Them two resistors have been replaced there. Them two blue ones. Focus, you stupid thing. There we go. That one and that one. Just replace them. Now onto the caps. That's where the fun begins. Thing I'm going to do is change that 16 volt at 220 microfarad cap there. That one. I've got to say, look how technology's progressed. I mean, you've seen the size of that one? This is the same value. There. Look at the difference in size. That's technology for you. Does exactly the same job, except this one works. But yeah, look at the difference, eh? The black ones that are in there, Nippon Chemicon, they're very good caps anyway, but they, you know, God, for this amount of time they do need changing. 37 years, crikey. But yeah, look at the difference. It's half the height and half the width. Mad. Well, just took two capacitors out, the ones that were next to those resistors, them fusible resistors. And first of all, one of those resistors, you can see there, I don't know if you can see, was completely shot. It's in really in bad shape. So that's, you know, that's a guaranteed fault. And these caps, this one's got so hot that the bottom's burned off and bulged. Same here. That's completely bulged out at the bottom as well and burned. So it seems to me like these four were all working in parallel together or series together, and they've all damaged each other. Making good progress now anyway. Well, I didn't really want to bore you with all the pictures of me soldering parts in this amplifier, but it's done. In the end, I ended up changing 17 capacitors and 4 fusible resistors, 4 half-watt resistors, and now there's a few things that weren't working before that I'll just go through with you now that are working properly now. At the side of the volume control here, there's a setting, initial setting, and wherever you set this at, when you switch the amp on, the volume will automatically go to it, because it's a motorised volume control. I'll just demonstrate that now. As you can see now, it's set to off, the volume, and if I turn that up to about there or something, if I switch the amp on, there you go, see? You go straight to the setting where I've left it. That wasn't working before, the motorised volume. Second thing that wasn't working before, you see there's this display there in the middle, it shows you 8 ohms wattage there. If you turn the volume up, the panel changes colour. Changes to red either side. When you turn the volume down, it goes to orange. That's working spot on now. And Third thing that was faulty, as you know, the reverb wasn't working. So if we just turn the reverb up a second and just turn the volume up, if you can hear that spring effect, that's the reverb, that's working. And now the microphone socket's working as well. So it's as good as new now. And I tell you something, the sound out of this now I've done that is absolutely unbelievable. Even on these two small wharfedales, it's just so crisp and so punchy. It's unreal. Absolutely unreal, the sound quality is. Even with compressed audio with like MP3, which I don't really listen to many of those. I mainly use FLAC, but even with MP3, the sound quality is just absolutely stunning. I've never heard an amp like it in my life. It's awesome. So it's all done. It's late now, so I can't give you a sound demo, but I'll do another video tomorrow with showing you how it sounds. I'll put me because this camera's got stereo mics on, so I'll put it on the tripod tomorrow and I'll set it up and play one of my tunes because I don't want any copyright strikes. Okay, thanks for watching, and once again, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments box, and I'll, like I said earlier, I'll give you a link to the place where I got my parts from. It's very good. It's very good seller on eBay. Okay, thanks very much.